Hi everyone, and welcome to this 6-2 rotation kind of information video. Hopefully this helps us to figure out where we need to be on the court. This is going to go over both serve-receive positioning and transitioning into defense positioning, so getting to that home spot. And so up in the right-hand corner, you will see that we have the rotation. So this is right here is where you are on the court before sort of switching into serve, receive, or defense spots. So this is where we can check our opposites. So our setter here needs to be opposite to the setter on the other side. Our middle is always going to be opposite to the libero, and the powers will be opposite to each other here. So when we say check your opposites, this is what we mean when we're rotating normally, looking to see who you're standing opposite to. So in this first rotation, we always want to, and all rotations, we want to think about who is our setter, and our setter is always in the back court, and where do they need to rotate, or where do they need to move to get closer to their spot. So here, setter is in the back row, right here, and we want them to be closer to the net. So we're going to push them up. The power is going to switch back for serve, receive. So we'll see what that looks like. So setter is moving up closer to their spot. This is going to push the middle player over to the side. And also we have our power going back into that spot there. They have to make sure that their feet are in front of P2, so they can't be behind P2. And setter needs to make sure that their feet are behind the middle and sort of in between P1 and P2 there. So their feet can't cross past where P2 is. And then the right side player in red can drop back to take any short balls and to be ready to attack on that side. So transitioning from here into defense looks like this. So we have 3 people at the net, our power on the left, middle, and right side, and those are ready to block. And then we have our 3 in the back row as well. So we have our back row power is sort of a meter behind the attack line on the left side. We have our setter, same thing on the right side. And then we have our libero in the middle at the back, sort of covering the whole deep back court. So this, when we say home position, this is what we mean. This is home. So now we've rotated and it's our point. So we can see that right side player has come back to serve and now they're in the back. So they will be the setter. We need to make sure to communicate between our setters who has hands at all times. So they're about to serve in the front row. Because we're opposite, we are going to need to switch our right side player to their home spot and the power to their home spot. So this front row is getting ready to do a quick switch. We don't have to wait for anything because it's our serve. So they go right away, setter goes to their spot, libero and back row power were already in their spots. So now if we lose that serve and we go to serve receive, we can see we start here. Our setter is in the back row and we want to push them closer to the net. So they're going to move up and push P1 up to the net like that. And now we see we've created this hole in the back of the court. So everyone else is going to shift to cover those spots. So the right side player is dropping back. They have to make sure their feet are in front, and middle is dropping back just a bit. So middle players can get any short balls, but they shouldn't be back far enough to be blocking any of the other passers. And this is the rotation where everyone stays on that side. So we can see that the right side hitter has stayed in power and power has stayed in right side, and they stay there for home. So we've won the point. P1 is about to serve. Setter and libero can just start right in their home positions. So they don't need to move. And in the middle, at the front, this right side hitter is just going to be going around the middle. So as soon as that ball is contacted, they can go to their home spot. So it looks like that. Notice how that was a really big run for P1. So powers, keep in mind, you're allowed to serve from the left side as well, and that might actually be better so you don't have as far to run. So if we lose that point, then we're going back into serve receive. Our starting spot is here. Now our setter is in the back middle. If the setters are in the middle, this is the stack play. So the setter wants to push up to the net with the right side hitter, and the middle can scooch over as well. And again, we've created this hole in the back row, so everyone needs to shift to cover those spots. So we're going to see the libero and the power kind of shift back to cover those spots there. If we win that point, we're going to rotate, from here we're going to go into home. So we're switching into defense. This is a big one for that P2 spot, because even though you're dropping all the way back to pass, you're still front row to hit. So it's a big transition sort of back and forth. So now we've rotated. We can see that the middle has gone back to serve, which means we have two middles on the court. This is the one rotation where middles you need to play defense before you can switch out with the libero. So we have the setter on the left side of P1. They're going to switch. They both need to get to their home spot, so it's a big switch in the back. And then in the front, P2 is just going to go around the middle into their home. So it's going to look like that. If we lose that serve, now we can see that middle has switched out for libero, and we're kind of back to where we started. So our setter is in the back left. We want them to be closer to their spot. So we're going to push them up and kind of switch with P1, which pushes middle over closer to the net. And the right side hitter is dropping back to be able to get short balls and be ready to attack on that side. The biggest thing for this one is just everyone checking their feet, making sure we're not crossing any lines before the ball is hit. From there to transition to home, it looks like this. So just showing that again, because that's a bit of a big transition for P1. So just know you're going all the way across the court. So now our setter has switched again. We've got the green setter now going back, who's got hands. They're serving. And we've got that big switch at the front of the net happening. Looks kind of like this. So that we can get it right into our home. From there, serve receive. Our setter is in the back right. We want to push them closer to their spot. So they're pushing up P2. Everyone else shifts in response. And just like before, we switch into home, and this is the one where the right side and the powers stay on those sides. So there's no big switch. So we rotate one more time. Now P2 is serving. So setter is right side hitter is going around the middle at the front. The back row, setter, and libero can already start in their spots. And same as before, I didn't show it on here, but P2 could serve from the left side to make that big run a little quicker, because we want to be ready for the overpass. Serve receiver from here is stack, because our setters are in the middle. So they go to the net. Everyone else fills that hole. P1 has to remember that even though they're passing, they are still front row to get up to hit right away. And also the back power here. So P2 starts passing on the right, but then needs to get all the way over to home on the left. So another big run. Middle, this is again two middles on the court. So we're serving, switching into home. And now we're going to look at defense. So those are all of our serve receive rotations. And now we look at defense. So if the hit is coming from the right side hitter on the other side, we want our power and middle blocking that. So they're going to shift to block. We can see then that the power, back row power has scooched in to get tips there. And our right side hitter has peeled off the net and kind of come in a little bit to get any tips that go across or cross hits. Our libero is always going towards the ball. So if the ball is on this side, we're going from the middle, shifting over to that line. And the setter needs to play defense first. So this is a tricky hit if it's coming from right side. Setter, you need to come back and get any cross hits. And then if you take first ball, just let the right side player know that they need to take the set. So then we're going to look at a hit coming from the middle. And so on this one, we have our middle who's already there and our right side who needs to slide over to block. We have our power peeling off the net and our setter pinching in to both cover little tips on either side. And then we're kind of splitting in the back. So if our middle and right side are doing a good job of blocking, then that whole sort of back middle should be covered. And so that's why our power is in one corner and our libero's in the other, so that if they hit either side, we have those covered. And then lastly, we've got a power hit. So our right side and middle are again blocking there. Setter is pinching in to grab any tips. Power is now peeling off the net to get any tips or sharp cross. Back row power, really important to get back to cover the cross hits, and libero transitioning towards the ball to get any line hits. So we've kind of hopefully got our spots covered. Here the pot is dangerous, so we have to cover that. Last but not least, we have free ball. So we kind of have everyone from the net backing up like that, and our setter getting right to the net right away. Setters, do not worry about the first contact on free ball. That's not yours. You, as soon as you hear free ball, are getting to the net. And then notice how the back two players kind of have shifted over to cover both corners. So let's see that one more time. Notice how P, the back row green P, is kind of going into the corner, and the libero is shifting over to the right. So don't just go back, kind of shift over, and that way it should form a bit of a W shape and should help us to cover all spots. So again, one more time, P is shifting back, libero is shifting over. Any deep corners that they throw at us are going to be those players' balls. So you got to get all the way to the back to get that covered. And then hopefully our front row is able to pick off anything that sort of goes in the middle. And that is all of our rotations. I hope that helps.